Welcome to the Old Time Radio Westerns. I'm your host, Andrew Rines, and I'm excited to bring you another episode absolutely free. This episode is one of many released every month, totaling over 80 episodes so far. Each one is meticulously digitally restored and stored in the cloud for your convenience, a process that incurs costs. To help cover these expenses, you might hear some advertisements throughout the episode. While we do retain the original commercials for historical authenticity, you may also encounter modern ads, which help keep the lights on. If you prefer an ad-free experience, we offer a couple options. You can listen to the episodes on YouTube. You can also support us by becoming a patron on our Patreon page. For more information, go to otrwesterns.com/donate. Again, otrwesterns.com/donate. I do want to emphasize that we are committed to providing this content to you for free, but also we have to be transparent about the financial realities to bringing this to you. Now, let's get into this episode. This episode is going to be The Lone Ranger. This episode is a 4-part series that is going to be put into one episode. Figure with modern technology, let's just listen to all of it at one time. It's going to be 4 episodes that originally aired January 2nd, January 5th, January 7th, and January 9th of 1948. The series has to deal with the Lone Ranger's guns. The titles of these episodes was Special 6 Guns, Package from Sam Colt, 6-Gun Ring, and Winning 6 Guns. Let's get into it. Hope you enjoy. And again, thanks for listening.
Hi-yo, Silver! A fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty hi-yo, Silver, the Lone Ranger. With his faithful Indian companion Tonto, the daring and resourceful masked rider of the plains led the fight for law and order in the early western United States. Nowhere in the pages of history can one find a greater champion of justice. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. From out of the past come the thundering hoofbeats of the great horse Silver. The Lone Ranger rides again. Come on, Silver! Let's go, big fellow! Hi-yo, Silver! Hi-yo! The Lone Ranger and his 14-year-old nephew, Dan Reed, were camped near the small Texas town of Crippled Creek. Dan had spent the afternoon in the community purchasing supplies. Since his return, he had been silent, rather thoughtful. The Lone Ranger noticed his manner and spoke of it during the evening meal.
I was just sort of wondering. I don't like to ask questions.
Dan, I can't believe that. I never knew a boy who could ask more questions than you.
Well, I mean questions about, well, sort of personal questions.
Such as?
Well, questions about you and Tonto. I don't want to seem to be prying into your business.
If you're wondering where Tonto is...
No, I was.
He went over to the mission to see if the Padre had any messages for us. He'll be back tonight or tomorrow morning.
Well, that's not what I was going to ask.
Oh?
I was wondering about your guns.
My guns?
Is it true that there are no others like them?
Yes, that's true, Dan. Sam Colt made these guns. There are no others like them. Didn't I ever tell you how I got my gun?
No. Told me how you got Silver and how you and Tonto became acquainted, but you never told me about your guns. I've often wondered about them.
It's quite a story, Dan. But there's no reason for keeping it a secret from you.
Gosh, I'd sure like to hear it.
I'll throw a little more wood on the campfire, and we can sit back in our blankets and talk.
Well, you talk, I'll listen.
You probably knew that Samuel Colt got the idea for a revolver when he was a boy. He's a little older than you.
No, I didn't know that.
Well, it's true. He was 16 years old.
How did he get the idea?
To tell you the story of my guns, Dan, I'll have to tell you the story of Samuel Colt and the Colt revolver.
Gee, I'd sure like to hear it.
Well, when Colt was 16, he was on a ship sailing from Boston to India. He stood idly watching the ship's wheel turning and bringing its spokes one after another in line with a lock that held the wheel in position when the ship was on a steady course.
Yes?
Then he thought of a weapon that would hold cartridges in each of several chambers. The chambers would turn as the spokes of the wheel turned and bring one cartridge after another in line with the weapon's barrel.
And his idea became the revolver, huh?
Yes, Dan. But not for many years. Sam Colt traveled all over the world, giving lectures to raise money to develop his idea. When he did develop it, he formed a company to manufacture the Colt revolvers. But he had many discouragements. He tried to get the Army to adopt his quick-firing weapons, but he had no success.
Golly, I can't understand that. I've heard so much about the firepower of Colts.
Then, that firepower was proved right here in Texas. Captain Walker of the Texas Rangers had been fighting savage Indians. He needed the best gun he could find, and he found it in a Colt repeater. Well, he ordered guns for his men, but weeks went by without a reply. He and his men were in pursuit of Sitting Crow. They were a few miles south of Suicide Canyon. They'd paused to give their horses a chance to rest and had sent 2 men to the nearest town for a fresh supply of ammunition.
Captain Walker, the boys we sent into town are returning.
Good.
They just come up the hill. Instead of riding their horses, they're driving a wagon.
Wagon?
Yes, sir, buckboard. Right over there, sir. See for yourself.
That's curious.
Maybe they had more ammunition they could carry on horseback.
I doubt it.
Well, at any rate, we'll soon know.
Hi there, Captain. Ho, ho, ho.
Away, horses.
We had to leave them in town, Captain. We needed a buckboard to bring back supplies.
What kind of supplies?
What's in that case?
Doggone if we know.
It was waiting in town for you, Captain Walker, and marked like it was mighty important.
Why, this is from Patterson, New Jersey.
Yes, sir. She's traveled a long way.
Call the boys. Break this open. This is what I've been waiting for.
Hey, boy!
Here, Billings, give me a hand with this. You'll crack her open right away. And then we'll give Sitting Crow and some of those savages something to think about.
All I know is that this case is doggone heavy.
Pull that board aside.
Hey, these are guns, cartridges.
And what guns? Wait till I load one of them.
They're all here, Captain Walker.
Men, these are the guns we've been waiting for. Give me 15 Texas Rangers armed with Colt guns like these, and I'll tackle anything.
Why, what the...
Blake, you're the fastest gunman we have. Draw, fire, and reload ready to fire again. While you're doing that, I'll demonstrate the new Colt.
Shall I fire right now?
Go ahead. Now reload and fire again. Go ahead, Blake. Fire your pistol.
It's not reloaded, sir.
You see, while you reload, I've fired 6 times.
That's incredible.
Men, I have a new 6-shooter for each of you. When we catch up to Sitting Crow, we'll give him the surprise of his life. We'll introduce him to the frontier peacemaker.
Were those the first Colt peacemakers?
No, Dan. A number of individuals had recognized the hard-hitting qualities of Colt's gun, but Walker's detachment of Texas Rangers was the first organized group to adopt the weapon.
You were going to tell me about your gun.
I'm leading up to them, Dan. First, I've got to tell you the rest of the story about Captain Walker and his pursuit of Sitting Crow.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there were nearly 100 Indians in that pack of savages. They were heading for the Badlands to get away from the Texas Rangers. They headed for a canyon. Lieutenant Blake knew the canyon. When the Rangers reached the entrance, he signaled and Captain Walker ordered a halt.
What are we stopping for?
You had something on your mind, Blake. What is it?
Captain Walker, this is Suicide Canyon.
You mean that's the name of it?
Yes, sir. And in our case, the name means exactly what it says.
How's that?
About 2 miles straight ahead, the floor of the canyon's almost covered with rocks as big as a horse.
Well, what about it?
Sitting Crow and his men, as well as their horses, can take shelter behind those rocks and pick us off like setting ducks.
Unfortunately, Blake, we have no choice.
No choice, sir?
We're Texas Rangers. We cannot abandon this pursuit.
Not even if it means death for all of us to continue?
Not even if it means death for all of us. Men, you've all heard what Blake said?
Yes.
If any man wants to hit the back trail, this is the time to do it. But before you go, turn in your badge. How about you, Blake?
Captain Walker, I'm a Texas Ranger. I go wherever you go.
You can say the same for me. And me.
I reckon we're all going with you, Captain Walker.
Very well. And follow me. Get up there.
Determined to do their best, the Texas Rangers proceeded along the floor of the canyon, expecting to be ambushed by the Indians when they reached the northern end. They'd gone about 1.5 miles when they heard gunfire. It was far ahead. There was no sign of Indians close at hand, so Captain Walker called a halt.
What do you make of it, Captain Walker?
I don't know.
Maybe the Indians met someone else.
Just a minute. I want to listen to that gunfire.
Captain Walker identified the crack of Indian carbines. And, in addition to these, he heard guns of another caliber.
Blake, Billings, all of you. Someone up ahead is armed with guns like ours. And it can't be Indians.
Someone's fighting the Indians.
We have unexpected help. Come on, let's get into that fight.
As the Texas Rangers charged ahead, they saw the Indians without shelter in the canyon. They were being held at bay by 4 fast-firing guns, maintained a steady fire from beyond the protecting boulders.
We've got him, boys. The Indians are trapped. Open up and show them the firepower of a peacemaker.
A small band of Texas Rangers tore into the Indians. The Indians were trapped and they knew it. Many fell in the first few seconds of the fighting. And the rest threw down their weapons and put up their hands in complete surrender.
Hold there. That does it, boys. Line them up and disarm them. Then we'll see who met them and kept them from reaching the shelter of those rocks.
I'll bet I can guess who was behind those rocks. It was you and Tonto.
Yes, that's right, Dan. We'd started through Suicide Canyon. We saw the Indians approaching and recognized Sitting Crow as a renegade who was wanted by the law. At just about the same instant, the Indians saw us and opened fire. We took shelter behind the rocks.
Then what happened?
Well, after that victory, other Texas Rangers adopted the new Colt Peacemaker and blazed tales of justice throughout the length and breadth of Texas. The tide turned for Samuel Colt. The fame of his gun spread fast, and it was finally approved and accepted for use by the United States Army. Colt was very grateful to Captain Walker, so he designed a special gun, the finest ever built. He made just 2 of them and presented them to Captain Walker.
But golly, if it hadn't been for you and Tonto, those Texas Rangers would have been wiped out.
Captain Walker wanted to give the credit for that victory to Tonto and me, but I asked him to keep us out of his reports. He agreed to do this, but insisted that I accept the special guns that Colt had made for him. Here, these are the guns.
Gosh, isn't Colt going to make any more like them?
I don't know, Dan.
Does he know that you have these guns?
Yes, Captain Walker told Colt about Tonto and me. In fact, I recently had a letter from Colt.
Oh, you did?
Yes, Dan. You see, these guns have special improvements in the trigger mechanism. They're very fast and reliable. Enemy agents are trying to learn how they're made. Colt has destroyed the blueprints, so these spies can't steal them.
Golly, I wonder if those spies are in this part of the country.
Why?
When I was in town, I heard men talking. They were asking questions about the guns of the Lone Ranger.
They were?
Yes.
In his letter, Sam Colt warned me to be on the lookout. He said that if the spies couldn't get the blueprints, they might try to get my guns.
Someone's coming. It sounds like Scout.
Yes, it is.
Tonto's coming back.
And riding hard.
Maybe he got some information from the Padre.
We'll soon know.
Oh, Scout, fella.
You've traveled hard, Tonto.
Not right. Did the Padre have anything important to tell you?
Him got plenty important message. Maybe better you saddle up.
All right. Back the gear, Dan. Tonto, you can talk while we're preparing to break camp.
The curtain falls on the first act of our Lone Ranger story. Before the next exciting scenes, please permit us to pause for just a few moments. Now to continue our story. After calling on the Padre, Tonto came into the Lone Ranger's camp. He had ridden hard because he brought news of an emergency nature. While he talked, the Indian helped the masked man and Dan saddle their horses and break camp. He had brought a message from an old friend, Clarabelle Hornblower.
According to the message, Tonto, it's a life and death matter.
That's right.
Clarabelle and Thunder Martin aren't the kind of people who ask for help.
How long ago did they send a message to the Padre?
2 days ago.
Perhaps we're already too late to be of help.
Golly, I hope not. How long will it take us to get to Miss Hornblow's ranch?
We start right now. We can be there by noon tomorrow.
We'll have to go through town, won't we?
No, Dan. Those men you saw in town might be the foreign agents Sam Colt wrote about.
Oh, golly!
That being the case, it'll be better if we ride around Cripple Creek.
What are you going to do about those men who were asking questions?
After we learn why Clarabelle and Thunder sent for us and do what we can to help them, we'll investigate the men who showed such interest in me and my gun. Steady. Easy, boy. I'll tighten this cinch. There now. Guess we're ready to shove on. How about your horse, Dan?
Victor's all set to move.
Ready, big fellow? Are you ready, Tonto?
Ready.
Then come along. Come on.
The Lone Ranger's big white stallion led the way in a wide sweep around the town of Cripple Creek. Dan Reed rode close behind. His horse, the Son of Silver, was almost identical to the masked man's horrible mount, the only difference being a black star on Victor's forehead. Tonto on his paint horse rode beside Dan Reed. The pace was a steady, ground-covering lope. Tonto was not the only one who had ridden hard. A half-breed named McGwale came into town, dismounted from his lathered horse, and hurried to a rear room on the first floor of a Cripple Creek hotel.
Senor, open the door. It is I, Miguel.
All right, come on in there, McGwale, and stop your yelling.
Senor Fleming, I thought you were alone.
It's all right, McGwale. You can talk in front of Mr. Steinwick. He's a partner with me on our deal.
Oh, this Fleming is the half-breed about whom you spoke?
Yes, I had him stationed near the mission so he could watch to see if the Lone Ranger and that Indian friend of his called on the Padre.
He has been there, senor. The Indian with the paint horse. The one who was called Tonto.
Was the masked man with him?
No, the Indian, he came alone and left soon after.
And he must have got the note we left.
See, I'm sure of it.
In which case, he'll take that note to the Lone Ranger. And the Lone Ranger will make tracks for the Hornblow Ranch.
Fleming, it seems to me you go to a lot of unnecessary trouble.
How's that?
These elaborate plans. Would it not have been easier to follow the Indian called Tonto until he joins this Lone Ranger, then turn our guns on both?
Steinwick, the head man in Washington gave us a lot of information about the Lone Ranger. His habits and his friends and the way he operates. You'd better study that information.
I have studied it.
Then you should know that we wouldn't have a chance to get him by following that Indian. He's got to be caught completely off guard.
You think your plan will catch him off guard?
You bet it will. What's more, we'll get him a long ways from any town.
At the Hornblow Ranch?
Yes. He'll go there thinking his friends need help. When he gets there, we'll be waiting for him. And we'll be ready to shoot to kill.
Now, this woman named Hornblow, she lives alone?
No, I told you there's a critter named Thunder Martin who lives at the ranch. He's sort of a foreman. Used to be a mule skinner. We'll deal with him, too. Miguel, go to the livery stable and get 3 fresh horses.
Si, senor, si.
Get ready to travel, Steinwick.
Sure.
We're heading for the Hornblow Ranch and the 6 guns of the Lone Ranger. By this time tomorrow, we should be ready to return to Washington.
The Lone Ranger, Dan, and Tonto made a halt in the morning sometime after daybreak and prepared a simple breakfast while their horses grazed and rested. They were in an arroyo and were about ready to resume their journey to Clarabelle Hornblow's ranch when they heard hoofbeats approaching. They listened attentively as the sound drew near.
Quite a few animals there, Tonto.
Isn't that right?
How many would you say, Tonto?
7, 8, maybe more.
On you starve to account for the sleeper.
Tonto, you hear that?
That's Thunder Martin.
Can't be anyone else.
I'll shake your face with this here whip. I get lost.
Oh, golly, listen to him.
Come on, we'll climb up the side of the arroyo and see him.
Next time I think you did it on a...
Oh, Thunder!
Well, I'll be a stolen horn, so whoa there. Whoa, you ridiculous. Whoa there.
How are you, Thunder?
Why, God, if I was any better, I'd be downright worried because it would be natural. Why, you're a stank sore eyes, and so's Tonto in the butt. How are you, Dale?
Fine.
What the incarnation you three critters doing in this part of the country?
We were on our way to the Hornblow Ranch. We understood you and Clarabelle needed help.
Huh?
We received a message from Clarabelle. The Padre had it. I have it right here.
Why, that's downright funny.
Didn't Clarabelle send this note to me in care of the Padre?
Why, Clarabelle didn't send no notes to nobody. What's that thing say?
Here, I'll read it to you. Please come as soon as possible. It's a matter of life and death. Signed, Clarabelle Hornblow.
Why, Dad, Randy Clarabelle never wrote that.
I wonder who did.
Why, Juniper, I'd like to find out. It sure calls for some investigating.
Going to be investigated, Thunder. I have an idea that this is part of a scheme of enemy agents who would like to steal my gun.
Clarabelle Hornblow was alone when she heard horses coming to a halt in the rear of her small ranch house. At first, she thought it might be Thunder Martin returning with his mules. But when she looked out the window, she saw 3 strangers, one of them a half-breed. She opened the door.
You, McGuire. Take the horses over yonder where they'll be out of sight.
Hey there, what do you critters want?
It's your name, Hornblow.
Always has been, so reckon it still is. What's it to you, stranger?
You're the one we want to see. Come in, Stanwick. Come along in, McGuire, when you've taken care of those horses.
Now, hold on. You can't come into my house
This
like that.
gun's our invitation.
Well, I've
Be
all...
quiet and listen to what we say. You know the Lone Ranger and Tonto, don't you?
You're doggone right I do. And when they hear
We
about...
sent for the masked man. Signed your name to a note.
That's a downright lie. No one knows where to address that man.
We sent the note to the Padre, and we know that the Lone Ranger got it. Now, when he comes, you're going to be sitting here in this room, acting as if everything were all right. Invite him in.
So that's the game. You poke heads aim to kill him.
We want his guns.
Senor! Senor!
What is it, Miguel?
They're coming. I see them. The masked man and the Indian. They will be here quickly.
Did you hide our horses?
Oh, see.
You heard our plans, Miss Hornblow. Sit right there in that chair and act as if nothing were wrong.
Like fun, I will.
Don't be a fool. You can't help your friends. You cry out and we silence you quickly. You help us and you will not be hurt.
Think I'm scared of being hurt? Why, you bug-brained side...
show you.
Let go, Mom. Let go. Hear me.
Senor, be quick. Look out the window. They come this way in a hurry. The Indian and the masked man.
Make up your mind. What are you going to do?
I'll show you what I...
You see them out there, Senor Fleming? They'll be here in a few seconds.
Oh, yes, I see them.
I'll do what you want.
You show good judgment.
Can't stand having my arm twisted so. Now let go of me, will you?
To be sure. Here's what you ought to do. When that masked man reins up outside, you just act like nothing had happened. Invite him and the Indian into this house.
Where'll you be?
I'll get over on this side of the room behind the door. Steinwick, you and the breed go into the next room. We'll cover the Lone Ranger and the Indian from all sides.
The schemers took their places in Clarabelle's home without suspecting the real reason for the woman's sudden acceptance of their terms. They didn't know that it was not the Lone Ranger who reined up outside. They little suspected that Clarabelle had recognized Thunder Martin, despite the fact that he wore the Lone Ranger's mask.
Invite him in. Be careful how you act. Tell Tonto to come in with him.
Come in. Come on in, both of you. Why, bless my soul. Look who's here. Mercy me, I'm so glad to see you. Won't you step in and close the door?
Me close door.
This is certainly a great surprise.
Here's another surprise.
Get your hands up.
Who's that?
You heard what Fleming said. Raise your hands and be quick or we shoot.
And they mean it. Don't cross them. They're murderous critters. Get your hands up.
Perhaps it would be better if we shoot them now instead of later.
All right. I got my hands up.
Lower one hand slowly and unbuckle your gun belt. Let it fall to the floor. Sure you don't move too fast.
You hombres are sure making an awful mistake.
We know what we're doing.
So do we.
Who is this? Another masked man.
I'll show you.
Go.
Try again.
Let's all fight.
That's good kicker. Hit him again, Paulo.
My arm.
All right. Drop those guns.
Wait, don't shoot.
I'll take your shooting arms. There. Now get over there, you polecat. Stand again that wall.
Be careful, Thunder. Do you want to shove him right clean through the wall?
Fairvell, who are these rannies? What are they doing here?
They sent a forged letter.
We know all about that.
They tried to make me help them ambush the Lone Ranger.
Dad, Rabbit, Fairvell, you just about did that same. You let me and Tonto walk in
Thunder,
here.
you're an addle-headed fool. I saw you and Tonto through the window.
Oh.
When I saw you wearing a mask and riding Dan Reed's horse, I realized that the Lone Ranger was expecting a trap of some kind.
Yes, we were, Clarabelle. We met Thunder on the trail and learned that the letter to the Padre had been forged.
You are not the Lone Ranger?
Oh, me? Not bad, Jugful. I just took his place temporary to keep you gents busy while he slipped around to come in the rear window.
Otto, you stay here and help Thunder guard these three while I go for lawman.
But how about Dan? Will he be all right down in the valley with my mules until you get back?
Yes, Thunder. Dan will be all right.
Tell him that horse of his is a fine critter.
He's a strip of silver. He should be.
Now, for mercy's sake, Thunder, take that mask off. Don't look natural on you.
Oh, all right, Clarabelle. But doggone it, I reckon there's not many men that have played an understudy for the Lone Ranger.
Otto Silver!
The capture of Steinwick and Fleming was by no means the end of the efforts of foreign agents to secure the Lone Ranger's guns. Word of their capture flashed across the telegraph lines to Washington, D.C. The message was decoded by a clerk and taken to the very private office of the head of the foreign spy ring.
So, Steinwick and Fleming have failed. Well, that is but the beginning. Send for Agent 47 and Agent 32. Give them all the information we have gathered in connection with this Lone Ranger, and tell them to prepare for a trip to Texas.
With his faithful Indian companion, Tonto, the daring and resourceful masked rider of the plains led the fight for law and order in the early western United States. Nowhere in the pages of history can one find a greater champion of justice. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. From out of the past come the thundering hoofbeats of the great horse Silver. The Lone Ranger rides again.
Come on, Silver! Let's go, big fellow! I'm Silver! Away!
The Lone Ranger had become an almost legendary character. Many of the stories about the masked mystery rider dealt with his unusual speed and accuracy in the use of his pistol. Countless people had heard about the Lone Ranger's guns, but few realized that there were no others like them. Sam Colt had designed and made those two, and then no more. Two passengers, a man and a woman, rode on the westbound train. They had come all the way from Washington as agents of a foreign government. Their mission was to steal the masked man's 6 guns, and they were bound for Crippled Creek, where spies were held in jail after failing in a previous attempt to secure the special weapons.
Crippled Creek, of all places for me to go.
Choice is not ours, Marie. Our duty is to serve the leader.
The choice was mine when I married you. I should have known better.
You thought the work of a spy was fascinating.
In Washington, yes. But in this wilderness,
Perhaps we won't be long in carrying out our assignment.
Mencken, if you expect to secure those guns quickly, you flatter yourself.
No. After all, Marie, this masked man, this Lone Ranger's human. A bullet in the heart will drop him as well as the next one.
I recall that Steinwick and Fleming made similar statements. And they're in jail.
They were careless fools.
Don't underestimate the Lone Ranger.
I don't.
Did you make a careful study of the information that had been gathered about him?
Of course I did, Marie. I memorized each word of it.
He's done great things.
Perhaps he stands out among the people of the West, but they're mostly savages.
Have you a plan?
Still working on it.
Before you can get the masked man's guns, Mencken, you must find him.
I'm working on plans that'll bring him to us, but they're subject to change. Marie, I think we can base our actions on what we learn when we reach Crippled Creek.
When we reach there. This trip seems endless. And even when we leave the train, we aren't at our destination.
Patience, Marie.
Patience. This endless train trip is bad enough, but riding in the stagecoach, how I dread it.
While enemies moved toward the Lone Ranger, the wires of Western Union carried a message to the masked man. A coded message sent in care of the padre of a little mission. Tonto had secured that message from the padre and hurried to deliver it to the Lone Ranger.
Oscar, open. Important news, Tonto.
That's right. Message come by telegraph.
Let me see it.
Here.
Thanks. Sam Colt. Perhaps he has some further information about these foreign agents who are trying to steal the designs of my guns.
Message in code?
Yes, I'm just working it out. Tonto, this is strange.
What him say?
He sent a small package to me. It's coming by mail. He sent it before he knew about the foreign spies.
What in package?
Cole doesn't say, but he wants us to be on the lookout for it. And be sure it doesn't fall into other hands. It'll be addressed to the padre at the mission. I'll saddle Silver. Steady this.
We go to Padre at mission?
No, Tonto. Mail for the padre goes to the post office in Crippled Creek.
That's where enemy in jail.
The sheriff in Crippled Creek will help us. We'll ask him and the agent in the stagecoach office to be on the lookout for a package from Colt. Easy with this cinch, boy. Now we're ready. Steady there. Go on, Tonto.
Get him on phone, Silver!
Jasper Mencken and his wife Marie were not the only passengers on the stage for Crippled Creek. The third individual was a man of average size whom they had noticed on the train.
You say your name is Smith?
That name will do as well as any.
How far are you going, Mr. Smith?
That depends on many things.
We're going to Cripple Creek. Do you plan to stop there?
Depends.
This is our first trip into the West. Have you been here before?
Briefly.
We read many stories about a rather mysterious individual who's supposed to be in this part of the country. Perhaps you know all about him. He's called the Lone Ranger.
I may have heard of him.
My gracious, Mr. Smith, you are non-committal.
Am I?
Hey, Marie, look over there.
Mencken, those are Indians.
Yes, they're coming this way. I don't like the looks of this.
Looks bad.
Hey there, you pet!
But the driver's calling.
You got guns. You better get ready to use them. Looks like we're in for trouble with Redskins.
Mencken, you hear that? Why did we ever come into this terrible country?
Got a gun, Mencken?
Well, yes, I have.
You better prepare to use it. And you, Mrs. Mencken.
I'm frightened.
Bullets and arrows will start flying any minute. You better get down on the floor of the stage. Less likely to be hit.
Yes, Marie. Do like Mr. Smith says.
Here they come!
Guard has opened fire.
Here goes. Open fire, Mencken. We haven't much of a chance, but we may be able to get some of them.
Hang on, folks.
The Indians swept down on the stage with savage fury, firing with stolen rifles as well as bows and arrows. The guard and driver fell in the first few moments of attack, and the Indians grabbed the dangling reins and brought the six in hand to a halt.
They'll capture us. They'll burn us at the stake.
Stay still, Marie. You're not helping any.
Keep firing, Macon. We're going to have help. Look over there. Soldiers. They'll rout those devils. Keep firing. Don't give up. We'll come through with you. Smith. Smith. They got me.
The arrival of the troopers was too late to save the lives of the guard or driver, or of the man who called himself Smith. However, the men in uniform routed the attacking savages before Mencken or his wife were injured.
Have they gone?
Yes, Marie. You can still see them. Soldiers are chasing them.
Oh, thank goodness.
Maybe the soldiers will come back and see if we need help. They'll take us on to Cripple Creek.
What are you doing, Mencken?
Want to find out about our fellow passenger.
Dead.
No doubt of that.
Well, then leave him be.
Want to find out who he is.
What's the difference?
My dear Marie, perhaps he has credentials that identify him. And frequently it's convenient in our line of work to take the identity of... Here. Look, Marie.
What is it?
He called himself Smith, huh? Why,
Who is he?
My dear Marie, we were traveling with a special government agent from Washington. His real name is Cartwright. He carries a letter signed with a name of high authority.
Who is it addressed to?
Sheriff Dale at Cripple Creek. To the United States Marshal and to others who may be concerned. It requests that Cartwright be given all possible cooperation. Well, as far as I need to read.
Why?
Marie, I planned on posing as a traveling salesman.
Yes.
With this letter, I can reject all former plans to get the guns of the Lone Ranger. You'll identify this dead man as Jasper Mencken, your husband. And I shall pose as Inspector Cartwright from Washington.
The Lone Ranger was in the office of Sheriff Dale in Crippled Creek. He showed the lawman Sam Colt's message about the package that was to come by mail.
You don't know what's in the package, eh?
No, Sheriff. But it may have some connection with the foreign spies who are trying to get my guns.
I'm wondering if there's more of those spy critters around here.
Why, Sheriff?
Well, right after we jailed those three that you captured, some critter went into the telegraph office and sent a message to Washington. It was in code.
Did the operator know who sent the message?
No, he was a stranger in town.
I see.
But speaking of the prisoners, I had word from Washington about him. A special federal agent is on his way here to take charge of him.
I wonder if it's anyone I know.
The name is Cartwright, Inspector Cartwright.
No, I don't know him.
He's due to get in here today on the stagecoach.
The stage is stopping across the street right now. Maybe the package from Sam Cole is on board.
Well, I'll go see.
I'll wait here, Sheriff. My mask causes too many people to ask questions.
Well, shoot yourself. What? Great day! Something has happened to the stage.
Soldiers brought it in. The guard and driver seem to be hurt.
Hurt or worse.
Here comes Tonto. He'll tell me what happened.
I'll get over there. It looks like I'm needed.
Look, it was terrible. If it hadn't been for the arrival of these soldiers, we would have all been killed.
Here's the sheriff, Mrs. Mencken. He'll see that justice is done.
Is this the work of Redskin?
Yes, it is, Sheriff. They attacked and killed the guard and driver. Also a courageous passenger.
My husband. My poor husband. He's dead.
Easy now, Mrs. Mencken.
Was anything stolen?
No, the timely arrival of an army patrol saved the mail. Oh, I take it you're Sheriff Dale?
That's right.
My credentials, Sheriff. I think you'll find them in order.
Cartwright, huh? Well, I've been expecting you, sir. I'm down right on it.
I trust that I may count on you to cooperate in everything.
You sure can.
There's an urgent matter about which I must talk.
I'll be with you just as soon as I can get the coroner going on the victims.
Poor husband. Poor husband.
Hank, you go get my wife. Tell her to come over here on the double. She can take care of Mrs. Mencken.
Right, Sheriff.
You wait right here, Inspector Cartwright.
All right.
I'll take care of the mail and my duties in connection with this attack. Then we'll get into your club.
The Lone Ranger and Tonto, watching from the sheriff's office, saw the coroner take charge of the dead men, and then the crowd dispersed as the stagecoach was taken to the stables.
Tonto, that must be Inspector Cartwright with us, Sheriff.
Ah. Now we learn what happened to fellas in jail.
Sheriff's carrying a small package. Perhaps that's the one Sam Colt sent.
Oh, it's not very big.
Martin to the stage.
Yes, he did, Sheriff.
The Indians got a terrible salesman named Mencken, but Inspector Cartwright here came through alive.
You're Inspector Cartwright?
I am.
Here's his credentials.
It's unusual to find a masked man in the sheriff's office.
Perhaps.
But the sheriff told me about you. The government is deeply indebted to you, sir. And I'm honored to meet you.
Thank you, Inspector Cartwright.
The same goes for you, Tonto.
The inspector's counting on you for a lot of cooperation.
Very well.
I'm instructed to take your guns. Please hand them over.
The curtain falls on the first act of our Lone Ranger story. Before the next exciting scenes, please permit us to pause for just a few moments. Now to continue our story. There was no reason for the Lone Ranger to suspect that the man who identified himself as Inspector Cartwright was in reality a foreign spy. The masked man was surprised at the request to hand over his guns, yet it seemed like a reasonable request.
You see, Sam Colt never built better guns than yours, and there are no others like them.
Yes, I know that.
When he learned that foreign agents were after the design of those guns, he destroyed the blueprints. So these foreign spies must secure your weapons.
Yeah, the masked man's already captured 3 spy critters that made a play for his guns.
Yes, I know. And there'll be other attempts to get them. That's why my department in Washington asked me to collect them. We want to lock them up.
Inspector Cartwright,
I'm sorry, but I have my orders.
Are you here alone?
Yes.
Do you think you can guard these guns better than I?
Well, our enemy will be more cautious about attacking a federal agent than they would a private individual, especially a masked man.
Doggone it, Inspector Cartwright. I hate like places to see the Lone Ranger hand over his guns.
I'm sorry, Sheriff, but I have my orders. I'll return the weapons after we've broken this group of enemy agents.
Are you going to take them to Washington?
Yes, I'll start east on the next coach.
There's one leaving here tomorrow.
Fine.
But what about the prisoners? You were to give me instructions about them.
Oh, yes. Yeah, well, I'll talk to them privately. Perhaps I can persuade them to name others.
Am I to keep them jailed here in Cripple Creek?
For the present, yes. Well, what are you doing?
Simply removing the cartridges from my pistol, that's all.
Oh.
It'll seem very strange to be without them.
Well, I can let you borrow a couple of peacemakers.
I have other guns in my saddlebags, thanks. Here you are, Cartwright.
Glad you're taking it like this.
Although we left our horses in the rear.
That's right.
Oh, by the way, before you leave, I've got something for you. This package come in on the stage.
Oh, yes, Sheriff.
Maybe it's what you were looking for.
Possibly. I'll put it in my pocket and open it when I get to camp. Come along, Tonto. Steady there, Silver. Easy.
He must have it.
Yes.
Me not like Cartwright, fella.
He's the authority, Tonto.
Oh, him not look like fighter. Enemy maybe steal gun from him.
Tonto, we're going to start toward camp. I want you to circle back and keep an eye on Cartwright. We'll watch him every minute until he boards the stage for Washington. Just to make sure he doesn't lose my gun.
Me savvy.
I'll join you sometime after dark. He's a big fellow. Move, Silver.
Get him up, scout.
The Lone Ranger had obeyed the man who identified himself as a federal agent, but he intended to take no risks. After leaving Tonto, he hurried to the Western Union office and sent a message to a certain high official in Washington. Time dragged as the masked man waited for a reply. The afternoon waned. Sunset gathered the last light of day on the western horizon. Then it was dark. A lamp burned in the telegraph office. It was noticed by Marie, the wife of the foreign spy.
Working overtime. I wonder.
Wondering if a coded message was coming over the wires from her associates in Washington, Marie walked softly toward the office. Presently, she saw the masked man with the operator. Then, through the open window, she heard the dots and dashes of the Morse code. She paused, listening. Then hurried to the hotel where her husband stayed. Tonto was near a first-floor window in the rear of the hotel.
Get your hands up.
Oh, what's this?
You're covered, and I shan't hesitate to shoot if you make a sudden move.
Oh, you woman from Stagecoach.
That's right. Mencken, open that window.
What's going on? Marie, you here?
Get your gun on this Indian.
Oh.
I caught him watching at your window.
Come inside.
Oh, me only
Talk
watch.
when you're inside. Come quickly. I have him covered, Marie. With the Lone Ranger's guns.
Good.
Get over there, Tonto. Why are you spying on me?
Oh, me not spy. Stand guard.
Likely story.
Close the window, Marie. I'll pull the curtain so others can't see into this room. Now, Tonto, I'll take that gun from your holster. Just what were you doing out there?
A Lone Ranger not want anyone steal 6 guns. Him say stand guard. Want see no one rob you.
Marie, I thought you were to stay with the wife of the sheriff.
I could see the Western Union office from her house. The man on duty worked later than usual. I went there and I learned something you should know.
Speak quickly.
That masked man was there.
Oh?
He sent a message to Washington, asking questions about Inspector Cartwright. The reply came while I listened at the window. It wasn't in code. I wrote it down.
Read it.
Man about whom you ask is 5'9", weighs 140 pounds, has red hair.
Found it.
You know what that means?
Of course I do. The Lone Ranger will know that it was Cartwright who was killed.
Oh, Miss Abby, now.
He'll be here. You'll have a showdown. You
Look out, you! Take you! Marie!
get it.
Oh.
There.
Yeah, that got him. Good work, Marie. If you hadn't struck him with your gun, he would have had me.
He moves like lightning.
I'll see how badly he's hurt.
Oh, what's the difference? He has to die. So does the masked man.
I know.
Take a knife and finish that Indian.
No, not yet, Marie. We may need him.
For what?
Might be well if we have a prisoner as hostage. We can't leave town before tomorrow when the stage comes.
Ah, this country. Why don't they have more stagecoaches? Must one spend half his time just waiting?
He's alive, all right. Hand me that rope and I'll tie him.
I still think it'd be better to finish him now. Then we wouldn't have to run the risk of his escaping.
Thanks. No, he won't escape.
That masked man will be here, Mencken.
I'll be ready for him. I'll meet him with his own gun. Too bad I can't use silver bullets, huh?
Why can't you?
He unloaded the guns when he turned them over to me.
You've reloaded them?
Of course. There. I'll tear that sheet into a strip so I can gag him.
Very well.
I dare say the Lone Ranger will be surprised when he learns what's happened to his friend here.
He's regaining consciousness.
Tear that sheet.
There.
That's it.
Hurry and gag him before he cries out.
Fix it. I'll have the gag tied in a second.
Hurry.
There. Yes, who is it?
That's right. I want to speak to you.
Who are you?
You have my gun.
One moment. Door's unlocked. Step in.
I want to ask
Get your hands up. Step right in.
Oh.
Close the door behind you.
Did you capture Tonto because he was outside your window?
We did.
He was guarding
Save
you.
it. Lay the cards on the table. You know who I am.
Yes, Mencken, I do. How did you know it?
My wife heard the message to you as it came over the telegraph.
I see. You and your wife will increase the total of foreign spies who have been taken prisoner.
You talk of making us prisoners. Well, I have 2 guns aimed at your heart.
Those are my guns.
They were.
They're too big for you, Mencken.
I can handle them. Now lower one hand slowly and unbuckle your gun belt. Let it drop to the floor.
I'll unbuckle it. As for dropping it, that's dangerous.
Do as I say.
It'd be better if I tossed the belt to you. Like this. And follow it.
I'll shoot
take that gun.
No.
Get over there.
I'll get you.
Here's more for you, Mencken.
Oh.
And this one.
Stop, you
Stand where you are. All right, just a second, Tonto. I'll cut you free.
Hey, what's all the ruckus? A fight in my hotel. Stop it, did you?
Fight's all over.
Great day. What'd you do to Cartwright?
His name is Mencken, and he's one of the spies. Take charge of him, Sheriff. His wife as well.
You mean he's not the federal man?
Here, this telegraph message will explain. Are you all right, Tonto?
Be all right now. Get bumping head. That's all.
Well, I reckon Mencken's going to have a bigger headache than you got, Tonto. To think that this would happen. Gunfire in my hotel. Oh, stop your wailing and go get Deputy Salter. Yes, sir, Sheriff. Doggone. I'm sure glad you got your 6 guns back.
So am I, Sheriff. I'm accustomed to those guns.
I reckon you must be. Why, doggone it, those guns are practically a part of you.
Yeah. It's a strange thing.
Huh?
Mencken had the guns. He turned them against me. He intended to kill me with them.
Him try to fire point blank.
The only time the guns have ever failed was when Mencken used them against me.
You took the cartridges out before you gave him the shooting iron.
Yes, but he reloaded. See here? He used standard cartridges.
Chances are they were faulty.
Yes, that's probably the case. Yet, I wonder.
By golly, you mean? Hey, it's something to think about.
Yes, Sheriff.
But look here, mister. I've been downright curious about that package that come for you.
Well, I haven't had time to open it. I still have it here in my pocket.
Huh?
Come, Tonto. We'll return to camp and open it there.
In camp, by the light of a small, well-concealed fire, the Lone Ranger carefully unwrapped the package that had come from Samuel Colt, the package that called for such careful watching.
Small white box, Tonto. Whatever this is, it can't be much larger than a small watch.
You open, Bob?
Right. There. Tonto, look at this.
Oh. It's plenty curious.
Great Scott, Tonto. I see what this is. No wonder Sam Colt doesn't want this to fall into the hands of strangers. Saddle up. We've got to move fast.
What is that mysterious gift from Sam Colt? Why was the Lone Ranger so surprised when he saw it? And why did he and Tonto saddle their horses in record time?
Steady, Tonto. Steady, big fella.
You ready?
Come on, then. Come on, Silver.
Scout.
Come on, Silver. Let's go, big fellow. I'm Silver. Ahoy!
After Samuel Colt's repeating pistol had proved its worth on the battlefields of Texas, the inventor designed a weapon with an improved trigger action that gave it even greater firepower than the famous Peacemaker. He made but 2 guns of this model. They were the guns of the Lone Ranger. He destroyed the blueprints when he learned that foreign spies were after the weapon. These national enemies made 2 aggressive efforts to secure the Lone Ranger's guns. The failure number had been captured did not in the least discourage the enemy agents. These setbacks served only to make them more cautious in their plans. The Lone Ranger and Tonto had been riding at a steady ground covering lope through the early hours of the night. The long ride had started from their camp near the town of Crippled Creek when the masked man had opened a small package that had come from the inventor of his 6-shooter.
Oh, Silver.
It was about midnight when the 2 horsemen reined up beside a moonlit stream.
Easy, big fella. Steady. We'll stop just long enough to give Scout and Silver a little rest, then we'll shove on.
How far we go?
Tonto, you know where we left Dan Reed?
We go see Dan?
I thought I told you.
No.
Well, I guess I didn't.
You open package from east, then you not stop to talk.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tonto. Here, take a look at this. Try it on your finger.
Oh, it fine ring.
Yes, Mr. Colt sent it to me because he thought it was especially appropriate.
This look like 6-gun on top of ring.
It is, Tonto. It's a small 6-gun. Mr. Colt sent me the ring because of these symbols around the edge. He says they remind him of us. Can you see the symbols?
Moon plenty bright.
Here's a bullet, which might represent the silver bullets we use. Indian arrowhead representing your people. A lone star to represent Texas. The horseshoe that might mean good luck. It might stand for silver.
Oh, what's this on top of pistol?
Little wheel. Watch what happens when I turn it.
Oh, it make fire.
Yes, Tonto. The ring shoots out sparks when you turn the wheel.
You told to be on lookout for package.
Well, Colt showed this ring to a number of influential people in the East. Told them he was sending it to me. With this ring, one of the spies might be able to identify himself as a friend of Sam Colt.
Spies know him send pistol ring to you?
Those foreign agents have ways of learning things. They know a great deal about Sam Colt and me.
Oh. But why we ride so fast, ride so far? Why we travel all night to get to school where Dan Reed stay?
Because, Tonto, Dan may be in danger.
Oh. How him in danger?
Colt bought 2 of the rings, Tonto. He sent one to me and one to Dan at the school in Meade City. Those spies have been watching Colt. They know where to find Dan. They may try to get at me through him.
Well, other time you send word to Dan by telegraph.
Not this time, Kimasabi. The enemy agents have even intercepted telegraph messages. We can take no chances. We've got to get to Dan. Steady there, Silver. Can't rest any longer.
Well, be ready.
Easy, big fella. Come on, Silver.
Come on, Scout.
It was daybreak when the Lone Ranger reached the woods at the edge of Meade City. Here he made camp. He changed his clothes and removed his mask, using a disguise to ride into the community where Dan Reed had been in school. He found the head of the school at breakfast and saw a look of surprise on Dr. Alden's face.
Why, you're Dan Reed's friend.
Yes, of course. I came to see Dan.
But he's not here.
Not here?
No, he left yesterday soon after receiving your message.
What message? I sent no message.
That's very strange. I can't believe Dan Reed would tell me anything that was untrue.
Of course he wouldn't.
And yet...
What did he tell you, Dr. Alden?
A man came here to the school with a telegram for him. Dan read it and told me it came from you. He said you wanted him to leave at once and meet you at the Padres mission.
Did you see that message?
No.
What time did Dan leave?
It was about noon. He took his horse, Victor, and planned to ride most of the night.
I see.
I can't understand it. I hope nothing is wrong.
So do I.
If there's anything I can do...
Not that I know of, Dr. Alden. Thank you. Oh, by the way...
Oh, yes?
Do you know whether or not Dan received a small package within the past few days?
Yes, he did. It came from the East. It was a ring. He showed it to me.
Like this?
Exactly.
Thank you.
Do you think someone forged your name to a telegraph message?
I'm afraid so. Steady, big fella. Come on, Silver.
Tonto leaped to his feet when he heard the fast hoof beats of the great horse Silver. He knew that something was wrong.
Oh, Silver, oh, steady, big fella. Tonto, got your horse saddled. We got to travel fast.
Oh, what matter?
I've got to get out of these clothes into my own outfit. Tonto, Dan wasn't at the school.
Oh? Where, Dan?
Someone sent him a telegraph message in my name. He was told to go to the mission of the Padre.
That long way from here.
Yes, I know it is.
You think foreign enemies send message?
I think so, Tonto. I think those spies did know where to find Dan. I hope we can find him before it's too late.
Scout saddle. Are you ready?
I'll be ready as soon as I get these clothes into my saddlebag. I want to go over the trail from here to the Padre's mission. We'll see if we can find any sign of Dan on the way. All right, I'm ready. Mount up, Tonto. Steady, big fella.
Get him up.
One, Silver.
The Lone Ranger and Tonto were not the only ones who had ridden through the night. Dan had maintained an equally steady pace, but in the opposite direction. In the darkness, he had passed within half a mile of his friends on his way to the Padre's mission. It was well after daybreak when he reined up in the hills to water his horse at a trailside spring.
Thirsty, aren't you, boy?
2 horsemen approached from somewhere nearby.
Oh there, Hi there, traveler.
Good morning.
Got some extra water in that there spring? Steady, boy. Yeah, canteens are empty.
Sure thing. Help yourself.
Come on, Keels. That water sure looks downright refreshing.
It's mighty good water.
Easy. You look young to be traveling alone.
I know this part of the country pretty well.
My name is Kales. This is my guide.
You can call me Tucson. The rest of my name don't matter.
Glad to know you, Tucson. You too, Mr. Kales. I guess you're from the East, aren't you?
More or less.
Well, I'm Dan Reed.
Dan Reed. I
Guess there's no mistake, is there, Kales? He's the boy we counted on meeting.
There's no mistake.
What do you mean?
See if he has any weapons, Tucson.
Hey, what do you mean?
Hold still.
Hey, take your hands off me. Let me go, do you hear?
You're going all right, but you're going with us.
What's the matter, Tucson? Can't you handle a boy like that?
He's strong for his age.
If I can just get close.
He's got a knife in his belt. Grab it, Kales.
I have it.
Now I got a grip on it.
Why, you...
Stop your squirming or I'll bust your arm.
What's the idea?
You'll know all about it in a little while. Just take it easy and you won't be hurt.
You won't get away with this. My friend is waiting for me at the mission. If I don't get there,
Listen,
he'll...
Dan. Let me tell you a few things and you'll know exactly where you stand. No one's waiting for you at the mission. No one's expecting you at the mission.
But I know
you
he's...
received a telegram while you were at the school in Meade City. I can tell you exactly what that telegram said and how it was signed.
How do you know about it?
I sent it.
You?
Yes. Now get this straight. You're up against something a lot bigger than you are. Bigger than the Lone Ranger. And there's no use trying to fight us. We don't want to hurt you any more than we want to hurt the Lone Ranger, or anyone else for that matter. On the other hand, we're prepared to go just as far as necessary to get what we're after.
What's that?
Your masked friend wears a pair of 6 guns, and we want them.
But why do you want the Lone Ranger's guns?
I represent a foreign government that is extremely anxious to learn the mechanism of those weapons so they can be duplicated.
What? You're a spy.
You might call me that.
Why?
Oh, no, you don't.
Oh, my arm.
Don't try to bust loose when I got a grip on you.
We're taking you to a cave near here. We'll hold you there until the Lone Ranger sends his guns. When I have those in my possession, I'll leave this part of the country and you'll be released. For your sake, I hope you'll accept our terms without delay.
He won't. I can tell you that, and I don't want him to.
We'll see about that, then. Now, Tucson, you'd better tie the boy's hands so we can get started to the cave. As soon as we're there, I'll send a message to the Lone Ranger.
I hope you know where to find him.
He's looking for members of our organization, Tucson. He knows we've sent coded messages from the telegraph office at Crippled Creek. He'll not go far from there. I think you'll get our message.
Dan Reed found himself helpless. He and his horse Victor were taken to a cave in the vicinity. It was a large cave cut into the side of a mountain by an underground stream that still flowed over one part of the tunnel.
You've checked the food supply, haven't you, Tucson?
Yeah, sure thing. We got food enough to last for a couple of weeks.
Very well. Now, here are your instructions.
I know what I'm supposed to do.
I'll tell you again. Take your horse and the boys as far back in the tunnel as possible. Far enough so they can't be heard.
I know.
Stay right here near the entrance and keep an eye on the trail. If anyone comes, be sure the boy's as far back as the horses and well tied and gagged.
I savvy.
Now, you needn't keep him gagged all the time. If anyone's coming, you'll know it in ample time to fix the gag.
You're going into Cripple Creek, huh?
Yes. I'll confer with Romney and my wife and discuss the best means of delivering our ultimatum to the Lone Ranger. Now, where's that knife we took from the boy?
Right here.
I noticed his initials on the handle. It'll convince the Lone Ranger that we actually have young Reed in our custody.
All right, boss. Will you be coming back here?
I'll be back when I have the Lone Ranger's guns. But if I'm not back by the end of 1 week, you will know my plan has failed.
Then what?
Then you're on your own and do whatever you want. You'll see no more of me.
And Dan Reed?
If I don't get those 6 guns, I won't care what happens to Reed.
The curtain falls on the first act of our Lone Ranger story. Before the next exciting scenes, please permit us to pause for just a few moments. Now to continue our story. It was evening when the Lone Ranger and Tonto reached their former camp on the outskirts of Crippled Creek. Both men and horses were tired. During the day, the Lone Ranger had traveled from Meade City to the mission and learned that the Padre had seen nothing of Dan Reed. Throughout the long ride, the masked man and Tonto had watched the trail, but the hard-packed ground gave no indication of Dan's trip or capture. The Lone Ranger left Tonto in camp and went directly to the telegraph office.
Oh, Silver. Oh, easy. Steady, big fella.
Hi there.
I want to see you, Sparks.
That makes us even. Come on inside.
Thanks.
I heard a horse approaching fast and hoped it was you.
Why?
I got a message for you.
Well, from whom?
I don't know. It was left under the door while I was home to supper. Here it is. It's just addressed to the Lone Ranger.
This didn't come over the telegraph.
No. Like I said, it was left under the door. I didn't know where to send it. You didn't leave no address where he could be reached by telegraph.
No signature.
You going out near the Red Rock for a meeting like that message says?
I don't know. Sparks, you've handled a lot of messages through this office in the past week.
Sure have. And some of them don't make no more sense than a two-tailed jackrabbit.
Yes, I know. You've had some coded messages.
Yep. Some of them for you from Washington, and some that was for them foreign spies that you put into the jail.
Have you had any coded messages since those people went to prison?
Nope.
Who gave you the message to send to Meade City?
Meade City. Let me see.
It was addressed to Dan Reed.
Oh, that one. Oh, gosh, mister, didn't you give it to me?
Did I?
Well, it was left under the door. I found it when I opened up the office yesterday morning. I figured you left it there.
Have you a copy of it?
Well, sure thing. I keep a copy of everything that goes over the wires to and from my office.
Fine.
Got it right here in this drawer. Here she is. Dan Reed at Dr. Alden's school, Meade City. You want to look at it?
Please. Thanks.
Doggone it, if you didn't give me that message to send, who did?
The same group of individuals that left this message beneath your door for me.
Say, mister, you reckon there's still some of them foreign spies out of jail?
Yes, and they're more important than the ones who are in jail. Furthermore, they're right here in town. At least some of them are. Sparks, listen to me. You said you'd help me.
You bet I will.
Step outside and look around. See if anyone has tampered with your wires.
Hey, you mean now?
Right now. I'll wait here.
Whatever you say, mister.
The Lone Ranger felt sure that the Western Union operator was a man of dependability, but he took no chances. With the life of Dan Reed at stake, he trusted no one. When he thought of a plan of campaign, he asked the man to step outside, and he hurriedly looked through the file, extracting a number of coded messages. He put these into his pocket, and with them a number of blank forms.
Everything looks all right outside.
Good.
Is there anything else you want me to do?
Yes, there is, Sparks. I want you to keep this office open 24 hours a day. Can you do that?
I sure can.
Very well, Sparks. You stay on duty. You'll hear from me again.
I'll be waiting.
Steady there, Silver. Hasta la vista, Sparks.
Adios.
Steady, big fella. Come on, Silver. Oh, Silver, hold on, easy. Steady, big fella. Otto, I learned a lot at the telegraph office.
That's good.
Foreign agents are still operating around here. They're the ones who sent that message to the school.
How you know?
They left a message for me. Build up that fire a little bit so we can see better.
Dixon here.
Good.
What message say?
Here it is. There's no signature, but none is needed. It says, there's no use looking for anyone until you've talked things over with us. We'll meet you midnight tonight, the Red Rock.
That all message say?
Yes, that's all.
Red Rock, 2 miles south of town.
That's where I'm supposed to meet the people who have captured Dan Reed. They'll probably tell me the price of Dan's life. I know what that price will be.
Your gun.
Exactly.
And what you do?
I have a plan, Tonto. I'm going to pray that it succeeds. First of all, I've got to study some telegrams here.
Oh, where you get 'em?
From the file in the telegraph office. These are the messages that came in code. The ones that were received by the spies who are already in jail.
Ah.
I hope to crack this code.
And what do then?
If I can prepare another message for those spies, one in their own code, we'll have a fighting chance to save Dan's life. Keep that fire going, Tonto. I've got to study, and midnight is our deadline.
For 1 hour, the masked man sat almost motionless, studying the strange-sounding messages, muttering from time to time, and setting down letters and characters on a slip of paper.
Letter Q appears more frequently than any other. It must be E. The letter E. Seven combinations of 3 letters, all ending in E. Assuming that that's the word the letter R would be substituted for T, and the letter V for H.
During the next hour, the masked man began to make out words, and from these learned other parts of the code, until presently...
I think I have it, Tonto.
That's good.
I'm sure of it. Now to prepare a message for those enemy agents.
And how you deliver it?
Sparks will be on duty all night. Get the horses ready. We'll tap the telegraph line. Sparks won't know whether the message comes from half a mile away or the eastern seaboard.
The huge mass of stone, identified as Red Rock, was flooded by moonlight at midnight. It was there that 2 men waited for the Lone Ranger.
It's time that masked man got here. Listen, someone's coming.
See? What did I tell you, Romney? I knew he'd show up. It won't take us long to tell him what will happen to Dan unless we get those 6 guns. Now, if I had been in charge of this assignment from the start, our friends wouldn't have gone to jail.
What's the matter?
That is not the Lone Ranger.
What?
And the horse that's coming this way, look at it. It's not white. What? That rider is my wife.
Why is she coming here?
How do I know, Romney? She was supposed to stay in town. Martha!
Rudolph! I thought it important that you should know at once.
That I know what?
Another message came through from the east. It is in code.
A telegraph message?
Yes. I was watching the office, which, by the way, is still open. Through the window, I could see a telegraph man writing down a message. I went across the street from the hotel and listened at the window. And I recognized our secret code.
To whom was the message addressed?
To Mr. Smith, the same as the others.
Which means nothing.
It was for us. Look, make a light and read it. I have decoded it for you.
Never mind the light. Tell me what it says.
It is to inform us that Samuel Colt sent Dan Reed a ring, upon which is mounted a miniature gun.
I noticed that the boy was wearing a ring.
What of it?
We are ordered to get this ring from the boy and send it at once to headquarters.
But why?
We are not told why. Orders are simply to get the ring at once.
That means I must go to the cave.
Has the masked man appeared?
No.
I think he has no intention of appearing.
If he does, Romney, you know what to tell him.
I know.
I will go to the cave and get this ring. There's a stage leaving for the east in the morning. You, Martha, will be on that stage with the ring.
Cale set out at once and rode at a steady pace into the hills not far from the Padres' mission. The night was nearly spent when he reined up at the well-concealed entrance to the cave where Dan was being held by Tucson.
Oh, there. Oh. See?
The moon had set, and in the pre-dawn darkness, a voice called...
I got you covered.
It's all right, Tucson.
Oh, it's you, huh, Cale? I didn't expect to see you all so soon. Hey, is anything going wrong?
No. Where's the boy?
Back in the cave where you told me to put him if I heard someone coming.
Gagged?
Sure.
Come on, take me to him.
I'll light a candle so as we can see our way. What's up?
I had a message from the east. Did you notice a ring worn by the boy?
Yeah. Fact is, I had ideas of helping myself to that hunk of jewelry. It's the trickiest ring I ever saw.
There must be something about it that's unusual.
Why do you say that?
We have orders from the east to secure the ring and send it to headquarters.
Here we are.
Put the candle down on the floor beside the boy.
Should I ungag him?
No need for that. Just roll him over so I can get the ring off his finger.
Right, over it is.
That's it. Now hold the light down close.
There's the ring.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. I wish I didn't have to send this east.
Like I told you, boss, I'd kind of like that ring.
Well, I'll take it off.
Oh, you won't expect what?
The candle.
Look
out.
I'll get you.
This should hold you.
Oh, there's another. Oh, this one. Oh.
I think we have them, Tonto. Just a minute. I'll strike a light.
Here. Here, candle you shoot out.
There's enough of it left to burn. Be sure those two are unconscious.
If them not, me make them that way plenty quick.
I'll get this gag out of Dan's mouth. There, Dan. Are you all right?
Gosh, yes, I'm all right, but I'm awfully glad you came.
I'll have your hands and legs free in just a second.
How did you find me?
Cales led the way.
He had a message from the east. He was after a ring Sam
The message
Coates had...
didn't come from the east, Dan. It came from within a half a mile of the telegraph office there.
It did?
Yes, I sent it by tapping into the line. I hope the trick would work.
Let's better get conscious.
Don't hit him again, Tonto. Just keep him covered. We'll rope these two and take them back to town. Then tell the sheriff about that woman and the man who was waiting with Cales at Red Rock.
You?
Yes, Cales, I'm here. And I'm still wearing the 6 guns.
But how did you follow me?
Tonto and I were watching Red Rock from a clump of trees. We saw you leave after you received the telegram.
Telegram?
You taught me a trick when you sent Dan Reed a fake telegram. I'm surprised that you were fooled in the same way. You know, Cales, you and your friends haven't a chance. I wonder how many of you are going to stick your heads into a noose before you realize that you can't beat Uncle Sam.
The Lone Ranger didn't know it, but he stood on the threshold of greater peril than he had ever faced, because when Cales and his cronies went to jail, the enemy agents mustered all their forces and enlisted the aid of a tribe of renegade Indians in a final effort to secure the Lone Ranger's guns.
Come on, Silver! Let's go, big fellow! I'm Silver!
In Washington, D.C., a man named Stuttgart maintained an office from which he directed the activities of his group of spies who had come to the United States to secure blueprints or a working model of Samuel Colt's remarkable six-shooter.
So far, none. Our efforts have met with failure.
Is this man who is called the Lone Ranger the only one to possess working models of the revolver?
Yes. Colt made but 2 weapons of this model. They are in the possession of the Lone Ranger.
Some of our best agents have gone into the West and met nothing but failure.
I thought surely Cales and Romney would succeed.
But they did not.
No. They are in jail with their predecessors.
What is the next move?
This letter.
A letter?
It's from a man named Roberto, who is in Texas.
Roberto? It's a strange name.
He's a strange man, Anna. His background is even more strange. He's part Indian, has a band of savages willing and ready to do his bidding.
Indians?
Yes, Anna. Murderous Indians. More than 100 of them. More than enough to overrun a community the size of this place called Cripple Creek.
Stuttgart, what are you planning?
Exactly that.
You mean...
I mean to enlist the aid of Roberto and his Indian friends. I mean to lead them in an attack on Cripple Creek, to storm the jail and release our friends who are held there as captives.
Sounds like an ambitious idea.
Cales and his wife, Romney, Mencken, Fleming, Steinbeck, all the others, including the half-breed named Miguel and that Texas outlaw who's called Tucson. We shall release them, every one, and combine their strength with that of the Indians in a final attempt to get the guns of the masked man who's called the Lone Ranger. In this attempt, Anna, I shall not fail.
Stuttgart headed west as rapidly as possible to meet Roberto and enlist his aid. In the meantime, the Lone Ranger had made a careful investigation of the people who had been captured in attempts to steal his guns, and had learned that of them all, only one had been born in the United States, the outlaw known as Tucson. It was Tucson to whom the sheriff spoke.
I'm unlocking this barred door, and you're to step out of that cell. The rest of you stay back.
What do you want of me, Sheriff?
You'll find out soon enough. Step out of there.
I don't see why I'm singled out for special attention.
Step down the hall to my office. You know where it is.
I see you, Sheriff. I've done nothing worse than any of the others. You needn't think that I...
Save your breath, Tucson. There's a man in my office wants to talk to you, that's all.
Who?
The masked man that captured you.
The Lone Ranger?
Go on in there. Here he is. This is the critter.
Come in, Tucson.
You want me to leave you alone?
Please.
I'll be out in the hall. Let me know when you're through talking to the prisoner.
I will, Sheriff. Over here and sit down, Tucson. Oh, I want to talk to you.
I'll sit down and you can tell me.
All right. Tucson, you're what's known as a bad hombre. You've been in jail a number of times on various charges. You've held up stagecoaches, shot a couple of men, and rustled cattle. But, Tucson, none of those things alter the fact that you're an American.
What about it?
Born in Texas, weren't you?
That's right.
Some of the worst criminals in our country's history died the death of heroes defending their country. Tucson, I can understand a man who got started on the wrong road, a man who becomes an outlaw, but I can't understand a man who is low enough to turn against his country, especially a Texan. Were you really born in Texas?
Yes, I was, and I can prove it.
You seem proud of it.
Well, what's the difference?
When you agreed to help Romney and Kales, I don't think you knew who they were or what they represent. I can't believe you know that they represent another country that might someday make war on the United States.
What difference does it make? I threw in with those men. I was captured with them, and I'm in jail with them.
Yes, you're in jail with them. You'll be there for a long time. But you'll not only have to live with those foreign spies.
What do you mean?
You'll have to live with yourself. And you'll be living with a traitor.
Well?
Tucson, I want to find out who gives those spies their orders. Who directs their activities. I want to get the man on top. You can get that information for me.
Why should I?
Because, as I said, you've got to live with yourself. And I have an idea. If you really are a Texan, you want to redeem yourself in your own estimation.
What's going on out there?
I don't know.
There's a fight of some sort.
Indians! It's Indians! They're storming the town!
Get this man back behind the bar, Sheriff.
Come on, Tucson, get moving. Hurry it up.
We'll continue that talk, Tucson.
The Redskins, they're coming here!
It was apparent in the first few minutes of the battle that the Indians had made the jail their objective. The Lone Ranger and the sheriff were forced to retreat before overwhelming odds. They barricaded themselves in the lawman's office and fired at the outlaws through the windows. They fought well, but were helpless to prevent a jailbreak. It was evening when the Lone Ranger joined his faithful Indian companion Tonto in their camp not far from town. While they talked, the masked man cleaned his guns.
It was a pretty violent attack while it lasted, Tonto.
You say it not last long.
Oh, when the shooting began, Sheriff and I didn't know what was happening. Through the window of the office, we could see the Indians closing in on the buildings that housed the jail and the sheriff's office. The sheriff got Tucson behind bars. Then the Indians were all over the place. They made no attempt to get into the sheriff's office, and they seemed to be satisfied as soon as they had broken the prisoners out of jail.
All prisoners escaped?
Yes, every one of them. Oh, here are some feathers I picked up after the Indians had left town. Look.
Oh, me know these feathers. These come from Valley Indian, where the breed, Roberta, blood brother.
Roberto?
You know him?
Yes, I've heard of him. Tonto, I want to get into that village.
Oh, no, you not do that. You get shot in sight.
I'll be shot on sight if I'm recognized. But I don't expect to be recognized.
Oh. What you do?
I'm going to disguise myself, Tonto. I'll disguise myself as an Indian. I can make Roberto's men think I'm a renegade Indian. They may accept me as one of them.
You mean you get into village? You act as spy there?
Yes. You're going to wear my clothes, including my mask. Get Dan Reed's horse in the livery stable. He looks enough like Silver to get by.
You ride scout?
Yes. Just as an Indian, I'll ride scout close to the Indian settlement. Wearing my mask and clothes and riding Victor, you'll chase me. Then I'll pretend to fall.
Me savvy. You make believe you fall, make believe you hurt. Maybe Indian take you into village, huh?
That's the idea, Tonto.
Maybe your plan worked.
It's worth trying. Now build up the fire, and we'll see about the disguises.
It was a night of activity for the Lone Ranger and Tonto. They brought Dan Reed's horse Victor from the livery stable in Crippled Creek, and wearing their disguises, made their way south as close as possible to the Indian village.
Big fella. Oh, Victor.
They were in a dense cottonwood grove, near enough to hear the Indian drums.
Easy, Silver. We'll leave Silver right here, Tonto. I don't think anyone will find him.
Woods plenty thick.
I'll want him nearby in case I have to leave the village in a hurry.
I'll
leave my guns and gun belt with him.
Maybe it's not risky.
There would be more risk if I wore them. Any one of those Indians might see the silver bullets and know what they meant.
That's right.
Furthermore, when I'm taken into the village, I may be disarmed. There, you'll have to be quiet, Silver, old boy. Steady now, easy. There. We'll not have to leave you for long.
Why Sheriff in Crippled Creek not come after Indians who make jailbreak?
He wouldn't have a chance, Tonto, and he knows it. Even if he got every man in town to help him, he'd be outnumbered 10-1.
We go now?
Yes. I'll take Scout. You ride Dan's horse. We'll circle to the other side of the Indian village and wait in the hills until daybreak.
The Indian village was awake at daybreak, and so were the white men who had taken refuge there after escaping from the jail in Crippled Creek. The man from the east, whose name was Stuttgart, occupied one of the huts with Roberto.
So far, Roberto, you've done very well. Si, senor. I have that cash for you any time you want it. But the big reward will come when you deliver to me the masked man.
Name of a pig, if I had only known it. He was in that building where your friends were held prisoner.
There was no way you could have known it.
You think he was talking to Tucson when my Indian friends made the attack?
Have you any plans for locating this Lone Ranger?
Not as yet. But I shall find him. I've no doubt of that.
I'm counting on you, Roberto.
Padre Mia.
Gunfire.
Come, we see what happened. Where's the shooting? What happened?
Look over yonder.
What is it, Tucson?
That hill on the far side of the valley. The horsemen are behind some trees now. But watch. You'll see them come out.
There they are.
Look at that critter on the white horse. It's the Lone Ranger. He's going after a redskin.
He's the one.
Yes, he is, Roberto. Even at this distance, I can see that he is masked.
Why don't you go get him?
Look, the Indian has fallen from his horse.
And then Bobby Doon.
What does he say?
He's fallen to the Indians to go after the masked man.
Hurry, hurry, Roberto. He has a long start, but we'll try to get him. Now, vámonos.
The Indians set out on their bare-backed ponies with Roberto in the lead. They raced across the valley, but the rider of the white horse, who had reined up beside the man he had been pursuing, leaped to the saddle and rode away. Roberto knew that pursuit was hopeless and signaled his followers to halt at the side of the man who had fallen from the paint wagon.
There is no use trying to overtake that white horse.
You help?
See, we shall help you. You were being chased by the masked fella.
You saw?
Yes, we see you fall. We see your paint horse run away. The masked man also run. But no matter, we will help you. We take you to our village, and then perhaps you can help us.
Me? Me help you?
Help us get the Lone Ranger.
The curtain falls on the first act of our Lone Ranger story. Before the next exciting scenes, please permit us to pause for just a few moments. Now to continue our story. Disguised as an Indian and feigning injuries, the Lone Ranger was carried by Roberto and the savages to the Indian village and placed in one of the huts. He had been there for about an hour when Stuttgart and Roberto entered.
And he's
Baku, me Gwetch.
Enough of that, Roberto. See if he can speak so I can understand what is said.
You speak white man's tongue.
Me speak.
That's better.
You had bad fall from horse. You think injuries are great?
Best medicine, rest. Here in blanket, strength, soon come back.
Why did man on white horse chase you?
Man on white horse, no Indian, help prisoners out of jail. He think me know where prisoners hide.
You know where white man make camp?
When strength come back, me fix 'em.
I think I'll have a look at your insurance.
No, not so.
Now hold still.
Indian not like white medicine man. Indian not need help.
I'm not a medicine man. Let me see if you have any broken bones. You might have cracked a couple of ribs.
Let us wait, Senor Stuttgart. There's no need to anger this Indian.
I am curious and I want to...
No, you go away.
Perhaps, Roberto, you're right. Perhaps it is better if we wait until this man's strength has returned.
Si, senor.
Come. We shall go.
The Lone Ranger wondered at Stuttgart's sudden change of manner. He waited for a time, then moved silently to the door of the hut. Looking past the edge of the buffalo skin flap that covered the opening, he saw an armed Indian sitting on the ground outside as if on guard. He returned to his blanket and lay quietly, waiting for the day to pass. Sundown was marked by an Indian ceremonial, and it was during this that the Lone Ranger heard a strange sound on the outside of the rear wall of the hogan. A moment later, a man pushed through an opening. It was Tucson. Tucson held a finger against his lips in a gesture signifying silence, and then spoke in a low voice.
Just listen to what I got to say. Before I was taken to jail, I helped a couple of critters capture a boy named Dan Reed. He was wearing a ring on one finger. It was the prettiest doggone ring I ever saw. It looked like it was made of gold. On top of the ring, there was a little 6-gun.
Oh, why you tell him this? Me.
There's just 2 rings like that in all the world. One of them is worn by this boy I spoke of. The other is worn by a gent that's known as the Lone Ranger. You see, I know that it wasn't the Lone Ranger that was chasing you.
How you know that?
Because you're the Lone Ranger. I don't try to deny it. It's no use. I got my information from Stuttgart. He's got you tagged.
All right, Tucson. How does Stuttgart know?
He was examining you to see how bad you was hurt. He felt the ring in your shirt pocket.
Stuttgart, the leader of your gang.
He's the head man of the spy ring, but it's not my gang.
You threw in with him?
I did, but I didn't know what I was getting into.
What do you mean?
Well, why did you come here disguised as a redskin?
To learn about Stuttgart and Roberto, and make sure that you and the others who escaped from jail were in hiding in this valley.
You learned that much?
Yes.
Now that you know it, what are you going to do with that information?
I haven't decided.
I can tell you.
Oh?
You're not going to do anything if Stuttgart has his say. He figures on playing the watching game. He's going to give you the chance to escape after it gets dark. You'll think you're in the clear and go to wherever you left your guns. You'll be followed.
I see. Tucson, why are you telling me all this?
We were talking when those redskins stormed the jail, remember?
Yes, I do.
I've been thinking over a few of the things you said. About me having to live with a traitor for the rest of my life. A traitor that double-crossed Texas and the United States. A traitor by the name of... Well, he's generally known as Tucson.
See.
Mister, what you said made a lot of sense. I don't like these foreign critters, and I'm hanged if I'll help them.
What are you going to do about it?
I want to help you. I got a couple of horses hid among the trees. The 2 of us can slip through that opening I just made in the back of this hut. I think we can get to the horses without being seen. Then we can hightail north to the gap.
Perhaps your suggestion is part of a trick.
Maybe it is. You'll have to be the judge of that.
You have a gun. I'm unarmed.
All right. Here, take my gun.
Keep it, Tucson. I think you're on the level. Lead the way.
Thanks, mister. Be careful now stepping through this little wall. Don't make no noise.
Right.
There we are. Now we can just get to the horses without being spotted.
Tucson, my own horse is not far from here.
Silver?
Yes, that way among the cottonwoods. Good.
The ones I got waiting are right over here. Stuttgart, he's seen us.
Run for it. Come on, Tucson. Don't stop to return that gunfire.
Here's the horses.
Get that leather and ride for the gap. Never mind me.
Good luck to you. Steady there, boy. Get up,
Get up there.
Hotly pursued by spies and Indians, the Lone Ranger rode at top speed among the cottonwoods to the place where he had left the great horse Silver.
Oh, steady, easy. We're traveling, Silver. You now, big fella.
He quickly buckled his gun belt and his own especially built 6-gun about his hips. He was about to leap aboard the mighty stallion when he felt a stunning blow in one shoulder. It was a 6-gun slug, and the force nearly knocked the Lone Ranger off his feet. He staggered momentarily, then clung to the pommel.
Silver. Got to get away.
He could hear the enemy approaching. Bullets zoomed close and ricocheted off the nearby trees. It took all of the Lone Ranger's strength to gain the saddle.
Now, Silver. Now, boy. It's up to you. Come on, boy.
Silver seemed to know what was expected. His great muscles rippled smoothly as he carried the wounded man north toward the gap.
Hold, Silver!
Weak as he was, the Lone Ranger managed to guide Silver to the narrow gap that served as the only entrance to the Indian Valley.
Up, boy. Up!
Then he urged the great white stallion up a steep and dangerously rock-strewn trail to a ledge that overlooked the gap.
Now, Silver, if we can keep these others in the valley. Oh. Steady, easy.
He took refuge behind a massive rock, drew both his guns, and braced himself in readiness, wondering as he did so how long his ebbing strength and cartridges would hold out. And then the fight began.
Go, Silver. Tonto! Go, Silver! Go!
Men down, Roberto. Keep them behind the rocks.
Reno, McQuagan!
He's wounded. He can't hold out forever.
Neither can his bullets.
He's using his own guns. Those are the guns I want.
If we could only get behind him.
You can't do it.
Don't worry, Senor Stuttgart. That man can't last long against all of us.
After we've gotten him, we'll find Tucson. He shall pay for what he did.
Soon it will be dark, and then we'll have no difficulty. It will be easy to sneak past him and attack from the rear.
Weakened from his wound and running short of ammunition, the Lone Ranger realized that darkness would favor the enemy. He knew that his end was measured by the ebbing light, but he fought on in the faint hope that Tonto would hear the gunfire and bring help. The sun was gone and darkness gathered swiftly. The Lone Ranger was down to his last few rounds of ammunition when he heard the gunfire suddenly increase. His strength was nearly gone, and he clung to consciousness only by sheer willpower. He was only vaguely aware of the fact that the battle had been taken out of his hands, and then he slipped into a blip.
You take it easy, Kimasabi. Take it easy.
Tonto, it's light.
Daybreak. You wounded, but you'll be all right plenty soon.
I remember a fight. Roberto, his Indians, Stuttgart.
Well, that's all over now.
I'm in my own camp. And, Tonto, I was dressed as an Indian, but now
Now you wear regular clothes.
I guess help must have come. Tell me, Tonto, what happened?
Well, Silver come to camp alone. Me see plenty blood in the saddle. Me know you hurt.
Silver?
Me go plenty quick to sheriff. Find Tucson there.
Tucson?
Him tell sheriff about enemy. Lead sheriff and posse. Meet enemy at gap.
The leader of those spies was named Stuttgart.
Him captured. All enemy captured now.
Tucson proved himself a better man than I thought he was.
Him dead. Him killed in fight.
Oh. Well, perhaps it's better that way. Who's in charge of the prisoners, Tonto?
A federal man from Washington. Him Cripple Creek. Him send message to you.
What is the message?
Him say plenty thanks. Foreign enemy finished. 6-gun no longer in danger.
Good. Tonto, this ring and the 6-gun that's mounted on it will always remind me that there's something good in every man. Even Tucson gave his life to help protect his country. Let's go, Tonto.
No. Maybe better you rest.
No, there's something I've got to do. I'll be all right when I get in the saddle.
Where you go?
Steady there, Silver. I'm going to see the man from Washington. Let him know about Tucson. As long as men like that put country ahead of self, we needn't worry about the future. Steady. Easy a minute, big fella. Take it easy. Come on, Silver.
Get him up, Scout.
Oh, Silver! Ahoy!
You have just heard is a copyrighted feature of the Lone Ranger Incorporated.
This has been a presentation of OTRWesterns.com, and we hope you enjoyed. Please take some time to like and rate our shows in your favorite podcast application. Follow us on Facebook by going to otrwesterns.com/Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel by going to otrwesterns.com/YouTube. And send us an email, podcast@otrwesterns.com. You can call and leave us a voicemail, 707-986-8739. This episode is copyright under the Attribution Non-Commercial Share Alike Copyright. For more information, go to otrwesterns.com/copyright. Have a great day, and thanks for listening.